Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and a warm welcome to the Global Innovation Summit and Awards 2015, who will share their views on disruptive technology and innovation, the key to a successful and sustainable future. It will also provide an innovative and learning platform for all entrepreneurs in attendance. So we would like to thank each and every one of you for taking the time out from your busy schedules to join us in uncovering the answers of tomorrow. Now, the Global Innovation Summit would not have been possible without the continuous support of our strategic SME partner, Etisalat, sole automotive partner, Alphate Motors Toyota, innovation partner, IBM, our SME service provider partners, and last but not least, our strategic alliance partner, Dubai SME. So could we please put our hands together in appreciation for our partners? Now, without further ado, I would like to call onto the stage His Excellency Frode Mauring, United Nations Resident Coordinator and Development Programme Resident Representative to the UAE, Oman and Qatar, to deliver his keynote and begin the Global Innovation Summit 2015. Please, a warm welcome.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Innovation is key to a new global development agenda. Take our smartphones as an example of technological innovation. Think of the way it changed our lives, but also think of how other innovations using the smartphone as a platform has changed the civic dialogue through social media innovations. It has consequences, obviously, on a global scale. I therefore welcome this opportunity to address you this morning in the most innovative country in the Middle East. UAE rose 2 spots this year to rank as the 24th most innovative country in the world. Under the leadership of President His Highness Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan and His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the Vice President, Prime Minister and ruler of Dubai, the UAE is taking leaps forward in creating an environment for innovation to flourish. The government's announcement in May 2013 by His Highness Sheikh Al Maktoum of transforming delivery of government services through smart platforms is an important example. The catalytic role of Innovation Week in November this year will also, no doubt, further show the world innovation needs to be encouraged globally. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank these organizers for giving us the platform to discuss a key topic that encourages advancement in technologies and services. Let me use this opportunity to remind ourselves of an important quote by the UNDP administrator, Helen Clark. Innovation is not an end in itself. It is about using the most up-to-date concepts and means available to get the best development results, unquote. In this regard, I'd like to shed light on UNDP's interest in promoting innovation. For UNDP, innovation means reframing the issues we work on through uncovering user-focused insights, continually scanning the horizon for fresh thinking and new ideas, and often in parallel prototyping those in an effort to quickly and inexpensively figuring out what works and what does not. In addition to the government, UNDP is now working with the private sector and civil society to promote development. We believe that the traditional ways do not apply anymore in today's complex environment. We need to reach out to the private sector and to civil society organizations. We feel it is necessary for a platform that includes all entities, as no one alone can produce better ideas, better implementation of programs, policies, and development results. A few examples of how we have worked. In Egypt, we designed a smart citizen platform to generate participatory processes of people in cities, connecting data, people, and knowledge. The objective of the platform is to serve as a node for building productive and open indicators and distributed tools, and thereafter the collective construction of the city for the benefit of its inhabitants. In the Maldives, we teamed up with fixmystreet.com to develop an online platform called Make My Island for Maldivians on remote islands to interact with their municipal councils. This has helped bring more effective municipal services to some of the most remote atolls in that country. And just last month in Nepal, UNDP partnered with Microsoft Innovation Center on a smartphone-based app to plan and track recovery and rebuilding efforts in towns and cities affected by the recent terrible earthquake. This speeds up the recovery work, reduces errors, and ensures that the people doing the work get paid quickly and efficiently. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is about us working to create enabling environments, ecosystems working at a variety of levels, national partnerships and entities, and different sectors to look at how the young people are educated, for example, so they become more innovative, more creative, and better contributors to development, growth, and social progress. I wish to conclude my speech by reiterating that we have now an opportunity to take our work to the next level, to be even more effective and relevant to those we serve, to those we partner with, by integrating these good practices into our work in a systematic and innovative way. So good luck with this event in getting new insights, having fruitful discussions, and networking for future innovations. Innovations that improves your bottom lines and bring the society we live in better off. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for those wonderful words. Now, as you're aware, ladies and gentlemen, throughout the course of the day, we're going to be awarding young innovators, hearing informative insights, and of course, taking part in plenty of discussions. But before we do that, we thought that we would break the ice and have a little bit of fun. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and give a very warm welcome to our entertainment partners, the Empire Stage Performance.
Hello? We are here for you. We are here to connect together. Now we have some sticks under your chairs, and we have some drums. Let's try to connect, get some energy, and let the summit, we have a wonderful day. So I will just show you what we do. It's very easy. On the drums, it's like call and response. If I give it, you do the same. All right. 3, 2, 1, let's go. So this is how it goes. Daga, 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 daga. Very easy. Okay. Let's try it again. Wow. Are you from Africa? That's amazing. Let's try it again. Okay, for the people who don't have sticks, you have your hands. So let's try it. Can I see your hands up, please? Let's do this. All right. Very good. All right. Come on. Yeah. Very good. Very good. Very good. All right. When I say Zango, A. All right. Very easy. Zango. Zango. Zamina mina. Waka waka. Zamina mina zangalewa. Anawa a. Zango. Zango. Zamina mina zangalewa. Anawa a. Zango, Zango, Zamina mina zangalewa, anawa a. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Just another big round of applause. An excellent performance, ladies and gentlemen. Now, innovation is a combination of intuition, creativity, and insight that has the power to transform. In the spirit of embracing innovation, I would like to call to the stage His Excellency Hazza Mohammed Fala Al-Katani, Undersecretary of Ministry of International Cooperation and Development, on behalf of Her Excellency Sheikh Lubna bin Khalid Al-Qasimi, Minister of International Cooperation and Development. Please make your way to the stage to inaugurate the Innovation Awards by sharing a few words.
Good morning. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor for me to join you today for the Global Innovation Summit, which focuses on a subject of great and strategic importance to the UAE, innovation. Innovation has been a crucial driving factor that has allowed the UAE to rapidly evolve over the past decades. The continued ability of the UAE to enable innovation will allow the country to become firmly established as global thought leader, thus transforming the country into an innovation-led economy. This summit aims to hasten this process by gathering the esteemed participants with the overall aim of seeking to find the answers for tomorrow. As such, UAE leadership understands and has acknowledged the importance of enabling innovation in the UAE. This will be accomplished by joining efforts from government, private sectors, and education institutions. When we work together to enable innovation, the resulting synergy is a powerful force. The facilitation of innovation within the country was given an enormous boost last year when His Highness Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan, UAE President, named 2015 as the Innovation Year for the UAE. Maintaining this momentum, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Vice President, Prime Minister and ruler of Dubai, adopted an innovation roadmap and launched 30 national initiatives to spread innovation across the country. Innovation received an additional boost in the education sector earlier this year when Sheikh Mansour bin Zayed, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Presidential Affairs, announced at the government summit a 7-point scheme to support science and innovation in the UAE's education system. The scheme includes initiatives to develop robot laboratories in UAE schools, to host an annual national exhibition for innovation, to mainstream innovation into national curriculum in coordination with the Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research, and to establish innovation incubators for UAE, for the university students and other young people. The aim of this innovation initiative is simple: for the UAE to achieve and be acknowledged as a global leader in innovation by 2021. I can attest that the Ministry of International Cooperation and Development has taken this initiative to heart. We believe that innovation is inherently important as it offers a way to find solutions to complex problems. As such, we have streamlined innovation in our work, whether this be our daily work focusing on documenting and coordinating UAE foreign aid throughout the world, or our longer-term strategic work as we formulate foreign aid policies and practices. One such example on innovation in UAE foreign assistance is the UAE Pacific Partnership Fund. It's a $50 million initiative delivering grant-funded renewable energy projects across several Pacific nations to develop the capacity of the island governments to design, implement, and manage renewable energy projects. The projects collectively replace 1.5 million liters of imported diesel fuel. This has saved $2 million and eliminated more than 4 tons of carbon dioxide each year. Another example of renewable energy projects in the developing world, which hits a little closer to home, is the UAE solar power project in Afghanistan, which was implemented by Masdar. In 2014, Masdar installed solar home systems in 27 villages within Helmand province in southern Afghanistan. The project enhances the lives of more than 3,000 people who had no previous access to electricity. The installations include 545 houses and 55 public facilities such as schools and clinics. Masdar trained Afghan users how to operate and maintain their solar systems. These are just a few examples of how the UAE is promoting innovation within our country, throughout the MENA region and around the world. I'm happy to report that the leadership throughout UAE government entities has fully embraced innovation in the core of our work. Collectively, we are firmly committed to the innovation agenda and roadmap. We will expend all possible efforts to ensure that innovation motivates our research, informs our solutions, and meets our challenges as we continue to constantly evolve our resources and capabilities to achieve the innovation agenda in full and by 2021. It's my sincere hope that this conference achieves all of its objectives and become an added factor that enhances innovation throughout the UAE. Over the course of this summit, I look forward to highlighting the technology game changers as well as recognizing and acknowledging them for making our lives better. I thank you for attending the Global Innovation Summit.
So now I would like to call the jury members onto the stage and to thank them, of course, for the valuable time that they've taken out of their busy schedules to judge all the entries. So could I please call to the stage John Lincoln, Senior Vice President, Small and Medium Business at Etisalat. And also Dr. Steve Griffiths, Vice President for Research, Interim Associate Provost at Masdar Institute of Science and Technology. And a thank you also to Walid Tarabi, Systems Architect at the Prime Minister's Office in the UAE, who unfortunately could not be with us today. Now, Mr. Lincoln, would you be so kind as to share your judging experience with us, please? Thank you.
Thank you, and a very good morning to you, Your Excellency, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It truly is indeed an honor and a pleasure to speak at the Global Innovation Summit, to see so many entrepreneurs in this region. Just to say very quickly, as we all know, there's only one thing that matters in any company. If you're for a for-profit company, there's only one thing that matters in growth. And growth can come from only two areas. One is innovation, and one is new markets. It is really apt that in this great nation of UAE in Dubai, and we're having this summit where UAE is the global hub, so you can get in new markets and innovation. So it is truly an honor to speak a few words as to how we selected the innovation, the companies for the awards. The way we did, of course, the quality, it was very impressive, having done this over many years, in many countries that I've been blessed to live and work in, either directly or indirectly, to select awards like this. I could say that the quality of entries have improved. Of course, we have not found a Facebook or Google yet. I'm sure that will come, inshallah, very soon it will come in this region. But it has improved, and the criteria for judging was based on three main criteria. First and foremost, it has to have a unique differentiator, something unique, a unique value proposition. Of course, that does not mean that alone is enough, because it also has to impact the customer or the vertical market or the category. It has to have a positive impact to society, customer or the vertical market. Of course, if you have these two things, it definitely has to have the commercial model does make sense. So these were the three criteria. I repeat, the uniqueness / differentiation / the unique selling proposition is correct. Secondly, it impacts the customer, it impacts the vertical market, or it impacts society at large. And last but not the least, the commercial model has to make money, the commercial model has to make sense. So on that note, I just want to say thank you. Please enjoy the event. And I believe all are winners for having submitted, but of course, like any award event, we have to select 6 of those. And it has truly been an honor and a pleasure to do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lincoln. Now, it's time to hand out the awards, but first of all, if you are lucky enough to be one of the winners, can I ask you that once you do come to the stage to collect your award, if you could stand over to the left on the red carpet here so that we can take a group photograph before you all return to your seats. So thank you very much and good luck to all of you. And now could I please ask Dr. Steve Griffiths to announce the winners and His Excellency to step forward also to hand out the awards to the winners. And good luck to everybody.
In the first category, we have the best innovation in the retail sector goes to Isabel Malassou. Next category is the best innovation in business growth, and this goes to Allison Wilcox. Okay, the next category is the best innovation in the education sector. And the award goes to Tazeen Sharif. Tazeen is not here, so we'll go to the next category. Okay. The next award goes to the best innovation in the healthcare sector, and the awardee is Fawaz Parker. Is Fawaz here? Oh, delayed response. Oh my, Fawaz is many people. Here we go. Oh, good. That's, oh, good. That's a group with 5. So congratulations to all of you guys. Okay, the next category is the best innovation in sustainability. And the award goes to Sebastian Stefan. This is our last one. And the final is Best Innovation in Public Good, for public good. And this goes to Neha Kaul.
Well done to all of the winners. But before you go anywhere, can I ask you to come all back up onto the stage for a group photograph, please? Thank you very much for waiting there. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for our winners and to our jury. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and especially to His Excellency Mohammed Fala Al-Katani and all the jury members, and congratulations to all the winners. Now, the agenda for this event boasts powerful keynotes, engaging panel discussions, and enriching workshops by top industry leaders. So let's move ahead with our first keynote of the summit. And it's a pleasure to call onto the stage Mr. Salvador Anglada, Chief Business Officer at Etisalat, to deliver the keynote speech on fostering innovation, disrupting the status quo.
It's open. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for the introduction. It's a great pleasure to be here today in this event. It's a fantastic event. The people that are here today, the agenda, the quality of the speakers, and the topic. It's a state-of-the-art topic. It's a hot topic. We're going to talk about technology. We're going to talk about innovation. We're going to talk about how technology and innovation is and is going to disrupt, change the way that we do business. It's going to change the ecosystems. It's going to change the rules of the games. We are entering in a new era, the era of information. And the change is going to be very powerful. We're going to see big changes in the economy. We're moving from a material-based economy to what I call information-based economy. And we're moving to an scarcity economy, to an economy of the abundance. And we need to handle that, and we need to know how to manage that. Big changes in people, in companies, in every single sector of activity, and I said every single sector of activity, and I would say also in countries. And the trigger is technology. And the trigger is the way that we are going to innovate, that we come with changes in our competitors, it comes with changes in the rules of the game, and it comes with changes in the status quo. Cloud, big data, analytics, Internet of Things, hyperconnectivity. It's going to change the way that we handle our business and our operations. Everything is going to be measured. Everything is going to be analyzed. And we're going to use all this information to handle our businesses. Information that is going to come from people, but information that is going to come mainly from things. New technologies arriving. Smart machines, drones, 3D printers, robots, artificial intelligence. All this is not science fiction. It's coming, and it's here, and it's coming faster and faster. New ways of doing businesses, new business models, new formats, the collaborative economy, the crowdsourcing, crowdfunding. All these are new formats and new ways of doing business that are going to have significant impact in our activity. And why I am so excited and why I believe those changes are going to be so powerful. What are the drivers behind that? Why now it's going to happen that and it has not happened in the past? What are the key factors, in my opinion, that are going to have such a big disruption? My opinion, there are three main areas that we need to consider. The first one, and maybe an important one, and very important one, is the price of technology. Price of technology that is dropping significantly, and it will drop significantly in the coming years. All type of technologies. And why is that? This is happening because all these technologies are dropping what I call the price performance exponential growth curve. And what does it mean? What it means is that every single technology is multiplying the effect of their performance while at the same time it's reducing their price. And this is happening every 12 or 18 months. This is what has been called the Moore law time ago when we talk about informatics and computing. But now what is happening is that it's been extended all across the different technologies, and more technologies are coming. And we've seen things that are amazing, because only 2 years or 3 years ago, a lot of the people that are here, we didn't even know what was a drone. And today, we can acquire a drone for less than $1,000. And only 4 or 5 years ago, the price of a 3D printer was more than $50,000. And maybe next year, you're going to be able to get a printer 3D printer for less than $100. Yesterday, I was reading something that for me was amazing. The DNA code for each of us. This is something that I thought that was not expected soon. It cost $10 million only 5 years ago. It's expected that in 2020, all of us are going to be able to get our DNA code for less than $1. So the price of technology is dropping significantly, and technology is being split all across different areas and different types of devices and scientific effects. Second very important factor. The combination of these technologies has much more power than the technologies stand alone. It's what I call the ecosystem effect. Every single technology in the past has had impact in one single sector of activity. But today, what we're seeing that when we combine all these technologies, the effect is exponential. Let me just put it one example. What has happened with the photography industry? It has been totally shifted. The old players has disappeared only 5 years, but how it could happen? Has it happened because of the smartphones? No, but it has helped. Has it happened because the cameras were inside the smartphones? No, but it helped. What has happened is that the cameras, the smartphones, the internet, the social networks, the digitalization of the image, all together has very powerful effect and create disruptions and create changes and create opportunities. And the third factor is specifically the companies that are able to get benefit of these opportunities, the startup, the entrepreneurs, the people that are innovating, that are more and more all across the world. People that understand the disruption, people that understand that the sectors are going to be changed, people that come with very powerful value propositions, proposition in terms of the product itself, because they create very appealing and very interesting propositions, but also they are able to create significant advantages in terms of cost. And that it's affecting every single sector of activity. And it's not only the information-based sectors, because some people believe that it is only about photography, music, video, everything that is being digitalized. But my sector is alive of this trend, of this earthquake, of this revolution, of this tsunami. It's not true. All the sectors are going to be affected, every single sector. We're going to move from a material society to an information-based society. And if not, answer me how it could happen that in the automotive sector, which is a traditional one, new players like Tesla just arrive. Or some companies that coming from other industries like Google are thinking in launching what they call the Google car. How it could be possible that in the logistics and transportation, one of the leaders today, it's a company that does not exist 5 years ago, which is Uber. It's happening in all sectors, hospitality and hotels. We will talk later about Airbnb. Which one is going to be the next sector that is going to be disrupted? What is your bet? My bet is the financial service sector. I really believe that we're going to see big changes there. And this is the only reason why every single CEO of every bank in the world is nervous, very, very nervous. So all these changes are coming, all these changes are happening, and all the changes are being triggered and are being sponsored by companies that are doing things in a totally different way. I would like just to mention, try to summarize why I believe these companies are able to disrupt so fast. Why this company that does not exist only 5 years ago are able to create such a big value. How is it possible that companies that does not have any value only 5 years ago, today, they are being quoted as multi-billion value companies? And honestly, I believe they deserve, because they are coming with a lot of value. What are the main characteristics of those companies? Why they have been able to do such a big disruption? Let me just summarize and come with 4 specific reasons I believe make these companies fast, speed, agile, and disruptive. The first factor is what I call the on-demand effect. And what does it mean? It means that these companies don't believe that own it's important. They believe they prefer to use. They don't think that own is strategic. They don't play with their balance sheet. They focus in the P&L. They only use what they need. Those are companies that embrace cloud, that everything they got in the IT is taken through cloud, pay as you go or pay as you grow. Companies that use resources for product development that they don't own, but they rent. Companies that they believe that they don't need to have a specific staff. Of course they want to have critical staff. Of course they want to have people critical for them, and they are employees of the company. They are looking for data scientists, and they are looking for big data people and people that are managing their algorithms and their interfaces. But for the rest, in some cases, they prefer just take it when they need it. Only when they need it. A staff on demand. And this is today possible thanks to internet. Because internet allows today to find nearly everything you need, even in terms of resources. And also because the new millennium generation, and today we've seen some people has been awarded, it's amazing. Have you seen the age? The millennium generation, the digital native people, all these people are ready to work, and they like to be autonomous, and they are ready to work to different companies depending on the situation. And all these people are available in the market, and all these companies are able to take advantage of that, and they allow them to be flexible and agile. Second factor, and this is a very interesting one, and in my opinion, a very powerful one. All these companies are able to expand themselves with minimum cost. The marginal cost of the expansion of these companies worldwide is nearly zero. And this is amazing because they can go very, very fast. And how it could be? This is not a new phenomenon. This is something that has been invented 50 years ago by the big internet companies. All these companies were able, just because they have a very strong proposition, to scale very quickly without sales and marketing costs. We have seen a lot of examples of that. We've seen WhatsApp, we've seen Facebook, all these companies growing very quickly, getting a lot of users. But now, what is happening is that this equation is being translated to the material world, to the physical world. And companies are able to expand without any cost. And the reason for that is that they have invented what they call the collaborative economy. They have decided that any single asset alone maybe does not have any value, but when you put these assets together, it comes with a lot of value. They have invented what I call the abundance economy. Everything is there, and the only thing you need is to use it. The spread parts are there, and the only thing you need is to put it together. Examples of that. Uber. What is the cost for Uber to expand their fleet? What is the cost to add a new car, a new driver? What is the cost? Zero. Zero. And they can do it in every single country. Of course, there are some regulatory issues that they need to face. Of course. Because even the regulatory is behind that. And we need to understand how we're going to handle that. And Uber is not a taxi it's not a taxi company. It's a logistic company. It's a rent-a-car company. All these sectors are going to be disrupted. Another very good example, Airbnb. Who knows this company here? Airbnb? Have you used it? It's amazing. It's amazing. Let's go and see what they do, these people. They are able to offer space, rooms, in any single place of the world, just because people like you, like us, have space at home, and we are able to monetize that. And they have organized that market, and they are now competing with the big people. And this is a company that has only 5 years only 5 years old company. And this company valued today more than $10 billion, and is growing. And this company has only 1,000 employees. And if you compare with Hyatt or Hilton or the big hotels companies that has 40, 50,000, 60,000 people, the difference is amazing. These people are able to disrupt, go quickly, expand their business in a totally different phase, and a totally different way, in a totally different way than the way that we do. Third factor that it's important and you need to understand. And it's important also for the people that are here, and it's important for the SMBs, and it's important for everybody that thinks that they cannot disrupt because they are not big enough. On the contrary, now to be small, it's a factor. Now to be small, it's something that is positive. These companies start small and they continue small and they grow. Even if they grow, they want to keep their structures and their organizations small and lean. They want to keep flexibility. They want to be ready to the next innovation. They want to be sure that they can move if they need it. But they create a lot of value. They are not small in terms of value. They are small in terms of the way that they organize their resources. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting the way that these people are doing that, because they are changing the rules of the game. The economies of scale that all of us has studied in the business schools maybe are not so important, are not going to be so important in this new information era. And last but not least, all these companies don't like the hierarchies, don't use hierarchies. They like the autonomy. They enforce autonomy, and they like to be open. All these companies are inviting people from the new generations, the millennium generation, the digital native people to work. And all this generation, they don't like the hierarchies. They want to contribute. They want to be recognized for the contribution. They are very open. They like to keep their freedom. They like what they call authenticity. And they embrace the openness environment. Open source, open software, open innovation. This is the way that they like to work. And they embrace the collaboration because they believe that working with others, they're going to create much more value just to keep things absolutely close. So what to do? What to do? This is what is coming, and I believe it's going to be accelerated. All this company coming from different parts of the world, maybe the next, as John said, the next Google, the next company is going to come from this part of the world. But what to do, especially all of us, the ones that are more in the old economy? Should we be worried about that? Should we panic? Should we believe that everything is going to change? Well, I would say that we should not panic, but definitely we need to be worried about. And we need to do something about that. And we need to understand and to have an agenda related to technology and related to innovation. It's absolutely mandatory. If I were you, the first thing I would do is to force all CEOs, all owners, entrepreneurs, the people that own the companies, what I would do, I would put technology on top of the agenda of the owners, the CEOs, and the entrepreneurs. Absolutely mandatory. It's critical. You need to know how technology works. You need to know how it could impact your business, how it could impact your sector of activity, how the ecosystems could be created. And if you don't know, you need to learn. It's critical. You cannot say it's not for me. No, you need to learn because it's coming and it's going to affect all of us. The second thing I would do is to start embracing the lean concept. Embracing the idea of getting things on demand, not to own. And I'm not saying that you need to sell all your assets. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that you need to change the way that you do your business tomorrow. But you need to embrace this change. You need to understand what if you get something on demand and you don't try to get everything on your own. And definitely, you need to embrace cloud. Everybody needs to embrace cloud. There is no other way. There's not going to be any other way. All the IT is going to be consumed on demand, the analytics, the storage of the data. There is no value just to own the data and not to do anything about that. Every single sector needs to go to cloud. There is no excuses. The ones that say, no, the data should be here, I'm worried about security. No. The data has value just if you use them, if you analyze them, if you scale them. If not, there is no value for the data. Third, talent, people. Maybe the most important factor. You need to get access to the right people. Data scientists, big data experts. You need to start thinking how to get access to them, either to hire them if possible, and if not, to access to them, to access partially to them. You need to learn from them. And you need to open the doors of your companies to the new generation, the millennium generation. It will help a lot. You will understand how they think. You will understand that they are native. They understand it world much better than us. And if you mix the old and the new world, you will start moving, and you will start seeing your companies moving forward. Last but not least, the topic of today, innovation. You need to create that specific programs within your company. You need to embrace innovation, and not normal innovation, open innovation. You need to see how you can open what you do to others. You need to understand if there are communities around that are working in what you are working. Because the value is when you open what you do, because even if you have a lot of very good people inside, it's impossible to compete with all the world that is innovating at the same time. It's impossible. You need to have this in your agenda. Technology on the top, embracing the on-demand, getting the right people on board, and starting to push innovation within your companies. I really believe that we are in front of a big change that is gonna affect every single sector of activity. The word is disruption, and the driver is technology. You can influence or just be irrelevant. It's your choice. If I were you, I would step in and I would start leading in this new world. Thank you very much.
Now we're going to move on to our first panel discussion of the day. Innovation, as has already been stated, has now become one of the key elements within a business. To innovate is often more important than any other factor to ensure growth. That's why our first panel discussion focuses on how to build a world-class enterprise using innovation. And I would like to call to the stage Mr. Aziz Merchant, Director at Brands Management Consultancy, who will chair the first panel discussion. Please give him a warm welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I asked a fellow colleague who advises companies on innovation, can you give me a very simple, real, relevant definition of what innovation is all about? He said, you really want it simple, real, and relevant? I said, yes, please. Innovation, he said, is something that has the potential to make your organization more effective, but you redundant. I said, really, is that true? He said, yes. I said, okay, so what assignment are you working on currently? He said, I've been asked by an insurance company to innovatively develop a job loss insurance product. So that is the power of innovation. It can make a mandate obsolete. But in this part of the world, in our country, we are very lucky because the kind of expertise that we have, the kind of industry experts that we have, I think it's going to take very long to replace them and their mandates. And we are very lucky that some of them are with us today as our panelists. I will take immense pleasure in inviting to the panel our first panelist, Anthony Butler. Anthony is a lead cloud advisor and chief technologist for IBM Cloud in Middle East and Africa, providing technical leadership across IBM's cloud services and software portfolio, and focusing on helping clients unlock new sources of value through the use of cloud. Prior to this, he was chief architect, IBM Global Technology Services for Middle East and Africa, Before relocating to the UAE, he was based in Australia. He has numerous patent filings in fields of cloud, mobile, and security technologies, and holds a Master of Engineering from the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology. Thank you for joining us, Anthony.
Thank you.
Our second distinguished panelist is Shadi Saab. I would like to invite Shadi to the panel. Shadi is the digital director at Starcom Media West Group. He brings 8 years of digital and media experience across multiple industries with a focus on technology, telecommunication, and media verticals. In 2007, Shadi joined SMG working on multiple local and global accounts like Saudi Telecom Company, Samsung, American Express, and OSN. He supported with building the agency's digital, data capabilities, and business development across MENA, focusing on SMG's biggest clients. Thank you for joining us, Shadi. I would now like to invite a third panelist, Shirodeep Basuroy. Shirodeep is the head of marketing operations at Noor Bank. He is a result-oriented brand strategist and communications architect with 13 years of success across the marketing mix, with specialization in project management, resource utilization, revenue growth, and cost reduction. He has delivered successfully and consistently in complex, high-demanding, and challenging work environments. He has been a regular speaker at various conferences, the Product Development Show, and the Beyond CRM 2000. Thank you for joining us today, Shirodeep.
Thanks, Sandeep.
I would now like to invite our final panelist to the panel, Paul Boots. Paul is responsible for managing the day-to-day operations, marketing, product development, and business organization of Beehive. Before joining Beehive, Paul spent 8 years with the DMCC, the UAE's largest free zone, where he was involved in the setup and management of several businesses related to their commodities initiatives. Most recently, he developed and looked after DMCC's services to the commodities trade finance and Islamic finance through the DMCC Straight Flow platform. Paul is a finance, management, and economics graduate of Babson's College, USA. Welcome on board, distinguished panelists. I think the way we'll take this forward is to ensure that we keep it simple, we keep it relevant, where you find many takeaways, tangible, realistic takeaways from the discussion. Let's start with a very relevant theme to today's discussion. And maybe I'll request Shirodeep to develop, to build on this theme. Shirodeep, what does it mean to be innovation-driven for any organization? Where does this all start within an organization?
That's a very important subject, and I quite like this subject. Because if you just get to think, internet started in 1993, I guess. And in the next 20 years, we have done a leapfrog. And we now associate innovation to digital platforms. But actually, if you go back and see, innovation has been the pillar of driving organizations like 3M. It is technology driven, but it is not really digitally driven. It is a culture that is built up within the organization that makes it succeed. It is about creating leaders who believe in the philosophy of the company, and irrespective of the fact that their CEOs keep on changing every 5 years, the company still is driving innovation. Technology, of course, is the biggest pillar of it, but it is more to do with the mindset of it. It is also about giving people the freedom to experiment, to do things, to take risks, and then, accepting the failure if that is needed. So these are the pillars of an organization that does innovation.
Excellent. I think just taking on what you just said, of taking that forward, Paul, can you tell us if there is a 4 distinct house for an organization to drive innovation within the
Absolutely, yeah. So, we finance a lot of small to medium-sized enterprises, and these are the companies that are innovating around us. What we did in order to learn about innovation is we actually, a few months ago, organized a breakfast forum where we asked the owners of these companies what innovation means to them. And we had a couple of distinct trends that came out of it. Number one was to foster a culture of innovation, you need to be able within your company, of course, to fail fast and then integrate. So what a lot of these business owners were saying is, be able to build in checkpoints around whatever you're building as a product, see if it's working, get it tested. If it's not, change around, pivot is the term that is being used a lot these days, and then adjust, but still keep the end goal in mind. The second one, which was actually what was most of the discussion of that morning about, is about building a culture through your employees.
Okay.
And building a culture through your employees really comes down to, first of all, hiring the right employees and taking enough time to do that. There's a lot of pressure on innovative companies because they are growing so fast to just bring in a lot of people, get them to start working, and even if it doesn't really work out well, we're innovating, let's push forward. What these companies have learned is if you spend a little bit more time bringing the right people in, but also spend enough time clearly identifying what the goals and objectives of these people are, and being able to actually adjust if you need to, and that also may mean, making tough decisions about employees very quickly. You're able to foster a culture where you have the right people doing the right kind of work. Tying in with that is once you have the right people, you actually need to then empower them, to share ideas, right?
So
allow them to come up with ideas, allow them to make these kind of, allow them to run with an idea. And it may not work out, but as long as they learn from it, that culture, people will continuously come up with ideas. Part of that as well, within the employee side, is empowering your staff to make decisions. And that's something that's particularly relevant in an emerging market like where we are. People come from different cultures. Their culture may be more process-oriented. They may not be used to making decisions. If you empower them to do that, you empower them to also help you innovate, right? Innovating is something that is doing something that's not been done before. If people do not feel like they can make those decisions, they will never go forward.
So it has to start from the top.
It has to start from the top. And actually, speaking of that, the last part on the how is also, of course, the regulatory support, right? And regulatory and government support is all about building an environment where companies can also fail, right? If you walk around Silicon Valley in the US, people will tell you how many failures they've had. And they're proud of that. Because from those failures, they've learned to now build the next company that they hope is very successful.
Excellent.
If you build an environment where companies can fail in a controlled way, and it needs to be in the right way, of course, you stimulate also potentially more finance coming into that market.
Enabling environment around.
Exactly, and that's another very important point that was raised.
Just building on that, Shadi, can you tell us how do things change in the workplace? And if you can sort of talk about this by giving us an example.
First of all, I absolutely, I think the culture and the people is something that's very crucial and it's very important. And if you want to innovate, if you want to change, you need to do things differently. And you first start doing things differently is by looking at things differently, by reimagining things, by disrupting, as the previous discussion was about. And in order for you to do that, you need to look at your organizational structure differently. You need to look at your talent pool differently. You need to see, okay, does the current structure in place correct and will move towards that innovation? Do I need to reconsider, is like the marketing department talking more with the tech department and so on? And then you start realizing that with innovation, you have products are becoming services and vice versa, and services are becoming products.
Any example of that?
So like one example, many examples out there, but for example, Nike would be a very good example where they were just a performance brand that built and manufactured and marketed apparels, and then they actually moved into technology. So it moved from a product to a service where they have integrated and built tech in their shoes for people to track their performance, measure the performance, increase stickiness to the brand, provide with a better experience, a higher value of the product. So if Nike didn't, if they said, you know what, let me just stay doing what I'm doing without reimagining how the company can evolve, without getting the marketing team, which are very aware of what the consumer knows about, but not to communicate with the tech team, with the information technology team, and so on, and to have this integrated discussion, maybe such a product will not have seen the light.
So, Anthony, let's say if we were to just reflect a bit on what Charlie said about Nike, what do you think must have happened at Nike? What patterns would have evolved, or how would they have approached this whole thing about embracing innovation, changing the products?
So if you look at industries from a business perspective, and those that have been disruptive, those that have innovated, and those that have created new markets, new revenue streams, and new opportunities, there's really 5 patterns that kind of emerge when you survey all of these companies. So everything can be distilled down to really 1 or more 5 disruptive business patterns. So the first thing that we see are companies that are augmenting physical products or services products with data. So what does that mean? That means that, you know, in a previous world, when a factory produced a product and shipped that product to the end customer, they lost contact with the product. Now that's no longer the case. It's possible to instrument products so that you are gaining insights on both how those products are behaving and how those products are being used all the way through the life cycle. So we're seeing companies that are adopting these types of technologies to really disrupt and innovate and create new opportunities. The second is around digitization of physical assets. So taking assets that previously existed only in a physical world, such as images, such as services, and making those available digitally. So this is where we talk about things like the API economy and so on and so forth. So companies are innovative by adopting this second pattern. The third is combining data across industries. And the classic example of that is, of course, the smart city, where we take data from different silos, and by combining those together, we're able to create new sources of value for the city and ultimately for the citizens. So for example, we take data from the emergency services, we take data from the road transport authority, we take data from healthcare, schools, etc., bring that all together, apply analytics to it, and we can generate new insights that ultimately translate into a better experience for the citizens of that city. And this is, of course, just one of many examples. The fourth pattern we see is around trading data. So organizations are increasingly realizing that the data that they have is not just valuable to themselves, but it could potentially be valuable to other industries and to other companies in their digital or physical supply chain. So some examples of that are telcos, such as a telco in Europe, that realized that there was a lot of value embedded in the GSM data that they were collecting around the movement of people. And so they licensed that data and sold that data to TomTom. And by doing so, they've established a new revenue stream. A second example, of course, is weather companies that generate an awful amount of detailed data around weather and different environmental conditions. They've been able to unlock new sources of value for themselves and for other parts of their ecosystem by making that data available digitally. And the last is codification of services. So what I mean by that is looking at what services were previously provided in a physical way and delivering those via a digital channel from the cloud. So you can see many services such as HR, for example. It's no longer necessary to have, you know, a huge HR team sitting within your organization running HR systems. Many of those functions and many of those systems can be procured from the cloud. So, which brings me to the final point, which is everything that I discussed from a business perspective, cloud is really fundamental to that. It underpins everything and allows us to achieve these objectives.
Thank you. So I think we started with the vision, we talked about talent, and finally, Anthony, you concluded the whole culture piece by talking about an ecosystem. Shadi, can you tell us what does it mean to develop an ecosystem, an IoT ecosystem, which is the Internet of Things?
Yeah. So basically, whenever we think of Internet of Things, we always look at it from a business to consumer perspective, and I think there are two lenses that you can look into the Internet of Things from. First one being from a brand / a business to consumer perspective, and this is what we're all familiar with, what we see on YouTube and all these interconnected devices. And the second one, which is the biggest chunk actually of the Internet of Things, which is the business to business approach of Internet of Things. And I think both of them are built differently because both have different objectives. So when it comes down to the consumer facing products for the Internet of Things, you realize that first of all, you need definitely the right technology in order for you to be able to build these services or products or cross-service products, whatever you want to call it. And usually something that was very interesting is that you cannot afford to start with an innovative technology as a solution, but you need to be able to innovate through technology. So technology is an enabler rather than you need to innovate because you have a lot at stake. Right. The second thing is, as we mentioned before, the structures and the people and then the workflow. How fast, how quick are you to enter the market, and how lean are you? And as well, something that's very important is looking at it from a product perspective. How does it match with what I represent today as a brand? What does the consumer need from me? This is from a consumer perspective. If you want to look at it from a business-to-business perspective, I think consumer perspective and brands perspective, they keep the ecosystem a closed ecosystem. Right. So it's not an open source ecosystem because usually the objective is to create more brand value, more stickiness to the brand, high volume of sales and so on. But you have other tech firms that take responsibility of the future of Internet of Things on an industry perspective. Take Samsung, for example. They have Samsung. Okay. So they have built a B2B IoT solution where they just develop the back-end technology and the chips, and they bring in the developers, so developers can come and see how can they get machines to communicate with other machines. And it makes it more of an open source, which ensures the longevity and the growth and scalability of Internet of Things rather than just keeping it within a brand ecosystem.
So it's rightly then said that it is an ecosystem. Things are building on each other. Anthony, can you give some examples of how companies develop IoT ecosystems that would be a bit simple and something that the audience can take away?
So one of the companies that my company IBM works with is a manufacturer of aircraft engines. And they have an innovative business model in the sense that they don't actually sell the engines, they rent them to the ultimate consumer of those services, which is the airline, and they rent them per kilowatt and with service levels, etc. around them. So they don't actually sell a physical product, they've turned something as physical as an airline engine into a service. And how they've done this is through Internet of Things type technology, cloud technology, analytics technology. So there's hundreds of sensors embedded within that engine that are constantly gathering data. So as the plane is flying through the air, it's constantly sending data back to a central location with an analytics platform, consuming that data and producing insights from the data. The reason is because any time that engine is not functioning, the company is essentially losing money. And so they're able, through analytics technology, to take the IoT data, the Internet of Things data, and make sure that they have the right engineer at the right airport at the right time with the right part to ensure that service is continued and downtime is minimized. So this is one example, and there's many examples. It doesn't, across industries. So if you were to pick retail, for example, which perhaps isn't an industry that we typically associate with the Internet of Things, through location-based service type technologies, we're able to gather a lot of data on the movement of people through a shopping mall. And a typical shopping mall of a relatively small size, to give you an idea, generates about 250 million data points within a 24-hour period. So we're able to track the flow of people through this physical environment. That information can be very valuable to retailers. It shows footfall, and it can also drive other initiatives, such as being able to promote different marketing campaigns based on personalized data. But what's fundamental to all of these different use cases, and there's use cases in agriculture, in oil and gas, it doesn't really matter which industry you speak about, we can now find IoT use cases. Excellent. What's fundamental to all of those is a platform. So we spoke about the culture that needs to support digital innovation. IoT is just a technology. IoT in and of itself isn't going to deliver innovation. What's important is that you have a culture that promotes, nurtures, and doesn't punish failure. And at the same time, you have a platform that enables people to innovate at very low marginal cost, with agility, with elasticity, etc. A combination of those two is really the winning ingredient I think from an innovation perspective.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, now let's try link all this to something that we call business intelligence. Paul, how would all this link to more business intelligence, and how would that link further to better margins or more profitability? Because at the end of the day, the goal of every organization is to be profitable. And if you spend millions of dollars in innovating, you also have to understand the commercialization aspect of innovation. So can you shed some light on that, please?
Absolutely, yeah. So, as a crowdfunding platform or a peer-to-peer lending platform as we are, we're a technology company, right? We are a marketplace where we bring together investors and businesses. Now, if it weren't for us to have the ability to collect all this data and present that in an easy-to-read way to investors, the investors would never be convinced to help these businesses grow by providing them finance. So the way we look at these things is really, we have, for instance, a risk model that captures over 400 data points. Now, currently, we're taking these data points a lot of times still from old school areas, such as, printed bank statements and things like that. But at the same time, we've started looking at data points such as, their social media interaction and how many likes and also how many negative comments are there for a business. Because all these things actually impact the risk profile of a business. So for a business like ours, we present the data. So we very much welcome these kind of technologies, and we're looking to work with that more and more in order to actually provide better information to our customers.
So you're more informed, and
and the more informed we can be, the better service we can provide. Actually, and also the more businesses we can channel financing into, because if we always talk to lots of prospective customers, and if we don't have enough data to present to the investors, we're not going to be able to convince them.
Excellent. Shiradeep, how is the concept of innovation being looked at? Or, what's changing at Noor Bank with all this?
I mean, like Salvador mentioned, that a big impact probably would come up in the financial sector, and we are all aware of it. We are probably the first bank who has a designated innovation officer who is dedicated to kind of working on innovative platforms. Just to come out on the ecosystem of things, it is happening with us, and we need to be very aware of what is happening with us. Everything is getting linked to each other. Anthony talked about digitization of physical assets, and that's a very important aspect that we need to keep in mind. To make it very light, we can just say that if I am able to put a tag on my car key, I'll be able to find it where it is. I'll be able to find my TV remote through the internet if it is tagged. That is the power that is going to, and it will be at one point in time that RFID tags probably would suffice for your banking needs than anything else. You don't need a physical money or any other instrument as such, or biometrics for that matter. We've got ATMs which work on biometrics. There are regulatory restrictions, but if you can overcome them, then you probably can have an ATM machine which dishes out the cash based on your fingerprint or your iris scanner. So that's where the financial model is going to go. Everything is going to get connected to your mobile device. So nobody can really predict what is going to happen in future, but somewhere around 2030, we probably will be linked with 5,000 smart objects around us. Can you imagine the power that will give, that will enable us to kind of have control over things, or let the machines control a portion of things that we don't need to kind of put in our efforts to control them. And that's where the future is. It will come in finance, it will come in different types of places like automotive industry. We talked about a particular engine. It is there in your washing machines. You will see something written as fuzzy logic. That is artificial intelligence. It reads what needs to be done and goes ahead and implements it. So, while in banking sector, we are expecting the biggest changes and we are gearing up for them, but it is not really in isolation or sector specific that we can think of it. it can come from any other sector or technology sector that can probably make other areas obsolete. So that's the biggest concern that we have, and we have to be ready for that.
To conclude, Anthony, can you give us some insight into this whole notion of artificial intelligence? You know, we hear a lot about this, the term AI. What does it mean, and what does it mean for a SME entrepreneur or a government organization? How does one go about this?
So when we look back at the history of computing, you can sort of categorize it into three discrete phases. So the first phase was an era of tabulating machines, right, which was fundamentally focused on adding things up, right? And this is where you saw things like the automation of the collection of the American census data, and punch cards, and these sorts of technologies belong to that era of the tabulating machine. Then we moved into an era of the programmable machine, which is what most of us would understand to be a computer or a smartphone. During this era, we as programmers would tell the device what to do. We could make it have the illusion of being intelligent, have the illusion of being smart, but basically it was only as smart as the person who was programming it. It wasn't able to learn. It didn't have what we would understand to be cognitive type capabilities. So traditional business intelligence belongs in that kind of era. If I think about what most BI is, it's really, at its essence, it's about describing data. So you give it a data set, it might be a very large data set, and then it will tell you that there's an association between these products, for example, if it's doing market basket analysis. Or it may tell you that, this is a decision tree to reach this outcome based on this data set. So it's very descriptive at its essence. Now we are moving into a third area of computing, which is what we call cognitive computing, where due to advances in hardware in particular, but also advances in terms of the software platforms, we are now have approached the point where we have computers that are able to replicate many of the cognitive functions of a human. So they're not only able to learn, they're not only able to describe data, but they're able to get insights from the data. And they're able to offer those insights to you, even though you yourself may never have thought to ask the question. So to give you a couple of real-world examples that we're working on, so we have a platform called Watson, which is our cognitive computing platform. Big focus from the company on healthcare, and we've been partnering with a lot of large healthcare organizations in North America to look at how we can apply cognitive computing to solve some of the previously insurmountable problems of our age, right? So finding a cure for cancer, finding a cure for diabetes, finding a cure for these kinds of illnesses. So what this platform is able to do, what this technology is able to do, is take all of the data that's available in the medical domain. So all of the paper, all of the papers, all of the images, all of the pharmaceutical reports, all of that structured and unstructured data, it's able to bring it together, digest it, and then when presented with a patient, it's able to offer personalized advice for that patient based on the vast body of knowledge that exists within that particular domain, such as oncology or similar. So
this is the concept of cognitive computing.
Yeah, this is the concept of cognitive computing. So it will say to the doctor, for example, we think, or I think, that you should try this course of medication and this course of treatment with this particular patient because their EMR, their electronic medical record, has these characteristics which leads us to believe, based on the research, that they would respond well to this treatment. And this is something that's available today. It's available now that you can go on YouTube, you can find many universities, many medical research organizations in North America and Europe and elsewhere that are doing this.
Excellent. That's a great insight and into a very new perspective.
And the other point that I would make is that this isn't something that is only available to an elite group of people within a small set of companies in a small set of markets. This isn't something that is only available to the so-called mature markets. Through cloud, all of these technologies, all of these capabilities that we mentioned are democratized. They're available to everyone. In the smallest country, in the smallest company, can access the same type of very advanced cognitive computing capabilities as would be available to a Fortune 500 company in North America. So this is something that we're seeing, and I think it's tremendously exciting, and I think it's great potential.
Thank you very much. This was very, very, very informative. So to conclude, we talked about how an organization should approach innovation, or how should they build this whole concept and culture? I think 3 distinct stages and phases. One is the whole culture ideation stage. Second is the product development stage. And the third, most importantly, is to think about the commercialization stage. So I think today what we heard was probably just the tip of the iceberg. There is a lot more to explore, a lot more to learn. This is the game changer. Things will change. Are we very far from the day that we will have robots replacing human beings in certain organization types? I don't think that day is very far, and we will see this happening one day. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope this was beneficial. I hope this made some good sense and some tangibles that you can take with you. We do have time for 1 or 2 questions. If anybody wants to ask the panelists questions, we do have time for 1 or 2 questions.
Hi, good morning. My name is Venu. I'm from Net Business Hub, an innovation-based company.
Right.
So we discussed a lot of ideas about innovation. At what level you can say that a company is innovating?
Good question. Chirodeep, would you like to reflect on that?
You know, so I go back, how do you define or measure innovation? Because that's very important to kind of have that measure. Few of the innovative companies, the way they do is they don't really look into the investment in R&D as a percentage of revenue or earnings, what it comes. What they do is they try to figure out what is the revenue that has come in from the innovative products in the last 4 years, and that's how they benchmark. Because individually it is very difficult to kind of understand or put a measurement in saying how do we kind of tag somebody as innovative. Of course, the easiest answer is that you keep on building new products but it is not really at the end of the day, which goes back to the fact that financially, if it is not viable, then you cannot sustain as an innovative company. So I think the easiest way that they do is they kind of check their financial records as what is innovation bringing across financially to them over the last 4 years, and that gives them the right direction to kind of focus on it.
Probably could be a unit of competitive advantage, I think. One more last question, anybody? Yeah, that's one.
Thank you, gentlemen. I am Mahmoud from Dubai Customs. So what the best approach for innovation for the government sector? Please.
Anthony, you would want to develop on that.
So the public sector, or the government sector, is able to innovate just as much as the private sector. You know, it's probably an unfortunate misconception that the public sector needs to be very conservative and very stuck in a certain way of doing things. The same techniques, the same platforms, the same approaches can be adopted by the public sector. So to give some examples of some very innovative things that the public sector are doing is around open government and API economy. So a government may realize that perhaps they don't have a lot of developers, they don't have a lot of people inside the company who can innovate. So you can outsource innovation. How do you outsource innovation? You take your data and your services and you make it available with a platform to the general public as an API and allow them to innovate. So they will come and they'll create new applications that offer new types of experience, new types of value to the end customer using government APIs and government services. So this is one way that governments can be innovative. The second is around mobile. So I mentioned the digitization of services and assets. So looking at those services that a person consumes from that particular government department. And typically those services require someone to go into an office, complete some paperwork. There's usually some manual, physical process around it. Digitize that process and offer it through a mobile experience. So it is a complete misconception that government can't be as innovative. In fact, in some ways, government has a greater opportunity to be innovative than the private sector.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Just to end on, can we take one more question? Is that possible?
Yes, please. I have a question.
Please, I have a question.
Yeah, I have the mic here.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Hasib. I'm a corporate trainer and a motivational speaker, and been in this country for about 19 years now. And many of the panelists here, and so on and so forth, many of the clients are here. A great initiative by the SPI, I believe, for this innovation and making it free also, for a lot of us who couldn't afford the large pub. My concern here is we're all talking about innovation. Yes, it's nice, fancy words, sitting over here in a nice conference in Jumeirah Beach Hotel. But when we go back to our organizations and we sort of zoom into the operational details, and we find out that innovation, yes, it is sort of encouraged, but then again what we reward is compliance. What people are afraid of is the audit requirements that according to procedure number 6.2.4 we need to do this. And how do we bring about that innovation and creativity and out-of-the-box thinking at the operational level? Whereas people, well, we know this for a fact that the higher you go, the higher the insecurities, right? So how do we sort of bring about a creative change with the, and especially with the right sizing and downsizing and economy downtrends and so on and so forth? How do we bring this innovation to the actual organizations? That's the big challenge that I think we're facing, yeah. Many organizations are talking about innovation, but then again, if people are afraid within their own hearts, why would they innovate? Why would they create?
Shadi, would you like to?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I totally agree. I think this is why we always see the big companies that we all know about, we name them, like we say Amazon, we say Apple, we say Samsung, we say Nike. And because they're the big corporations are very few, those who actually have a breakthrough innovation, whether it's regionally or globally. And you find innovation mostly coming out from smaller startups because they basically have nothing to lose, and then these startups get acquired by the bigger firms. I think we'll link it back to the first point in the discussion, which is, number one, it should be a big vision from a very strong leadership perspective by saying, you know what, this is what we're trying to achieve, and this is how we're going to achieve it, re-questioning and redefining and reimagining the structures that are present today. I mean, many organizations globally are looking at their business structures and saying, you know what, a CMO and a CIO alone are not working together. So they're creating new functions within the company, which is the CXO, for example, or Chief Digital Officer or Chief Integration Officer. So if it wasn't for the vision of the leaders who are willing to take risks, who are willing to do things differently, then by no means nobody is ever going to evolve and to innovate, and it's only going to remain fancy words that we sit down and we just throw jargons at one another. So yes, absolutely, and it comes from the leaders within the organizations by hiring the right people, by having the right vision.
Thank you, Shadi. And the panelists are around. They are available. If any one of you wants to connect with them individually, you can please do so. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you to Mr. Aziz and to all the panelists. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be taking a short coffee break. If you would like a one-to-one consultation with Mr. Anthony Butler, that's available upstairs in the VIP coffee area. VIP coffee is upstairs. Everybody else, please enjoy your short break, and we'll see you shortly. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back after that short break. I hope that you enjoyed your coffee. Now, I have one request, please, that a lot of people have come forward and said for the people that are talking at the back of the room during the keynote speeches, it is rather disruptive. So if you would like to talk with people, if you would like to have a conversation and make new contacts, please do so outside of the room. But it is disrupting people, especially people who are sat closer to the back of the room, who are unable to hear what's going on during the important keynote speeches and during the panel discussions. So I thank you in advance to all of you who do refrain from having conversations at the back of the room and not allowing other people to hear, for fear of sounding very bossy. Thank you very much. And now, ladies and gentlemen, if we could welcome to the stage Dr. Naguib Attia, Vice President and Chief Technologist for IBM MEA, to deliver the keynote on the benefits of aligning your corporate strategy with innovation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to thank the organization and the organizers for this conference for inviting me to speak about IBM and the innovation in IBM for in this big event. I came to this region as a Chief Technology Officer after a long call it experience in the IBM, also as a Chief Technology Officer of industrial sector, to really impact and bring the IBM innovation to this region. Not too many of you knows about the exact IBM, that how innovative IBM is, what do we do, and what is the innovation agenda, as we call it. So if you look at the title, it's exactly call it the mantra of our innovation. We call it innovation that matters. And I will tell you why. If I can get 200, 300 innovators in one room, and I say, I give you all the money, go do what you want, come back in a year. How many good projects will you get? How many good ideas will you get? How many real ideas will you get? So at the end of the day, after almost 20 years of research in IBM, we found that we have to have a goal and direction. We do not give you money to do research. We do not hire you as a researcher just for the sake, as we call it, science fair. We want something that matters. In addition to that statement, we also put a statement that we need solutions and things that matters for the human being. Our statement when we get new person into research or into our companies, we say, when we ask you to innovate, I want you to innovate things that will improve humanity, will improve the human being. Based on that culture, coming from the top to all CTOs, we put programs and we put people and we get them into the notion that if you want to innovate, I want to see innovation that matters, and I want you to have in your mind that you are going to impact humanity. Through my presentation, I'm going to give you some examples of how really our IBM researchers created and developed solutions that every one of you could be using today without knowing that this started with one researcher at IBM. So I will start to give you the notion of innovation and take you into the mode of innovation with just 1 minute video.
Excuse me, sir. Forgot your receipt.
Checkout lines. Who needs them?
Have a nice day.
That's a solution we did for a retailer in France. You know what happened here? No lines. You pass through, your bill is paid, you have a card, I read your card, you're out. This was imagination many years ago. It's true today. Our team for retail industry made that a solution. When do you think this will be applied here? Maybe next year, maybe tomorrow, right? What enables that? A lot of technology that if I go through it, you will say, oh yeah, I know. Internet of Things, RFID, tags, barcode, all of this came together to give you this. And I like the impression of the old lady looking at the man like he's stealing the stuff. But that's the innovation that the world today will live. I bet you that retailers will look at it and say, yes, my customer needs that. You know these 5 young gentlemen won an award? That's their generation. They don't want to go and get the cart. The first step after that was people start getting the cart, and the cart goes by, and you pay at the end. But this area of innovation is moving. So how did we get our people to think like that? Look at this. This is all 5 years old. I'm not even updated this to today. How many companies on the left side here that exist today? None. So when we look at companies, and companies that were, when the stock market, S&P 500, started, all of these companies, only 14% survived. Big names, Pan Am. Where is Pan Am today? Continental. Where is Continental? US Airways. Where is US Airways? How many companies, big companies? Transamerica. You remember those? Where are they? One thing that differentiates the group on the right from the group on the left, it is continuous innovation. So the first term I used was innovation that matters. The second term is continuous innovation. Use that term very carefully. I'm going to give you an example, not to pick on any company, but all of you remember. The first nice, sleek mobile phone came from a company called Motorola. Very nice Razr, right? Generation 1 Razr, Generation 2 Razr, a year later Razr, color black became red. That's all we got. Who's eating their lunch today? Apple and Samsung, right? Where is Motorola phone? Where is it? Was a term that we use in research and we call over milking it. They thought that they have an innovative product, the market doesn't have it yet, so they kept over milking it, color black, color red, color red. But the consumer is smart. I see no continuous innovation. It went out of the market. Think of the term again, continuous innovation, and adapt this in your company. That's how we adopt it in IBM. You can be my best researchers 3 years ago. But if you think you are because you're 3 years ago, you're going to be my best today, forget it. Where is your continuous innovation? That was the role that killed these companies. At their time, they were one of the best. At their time, they were one of the best. But they rested on their innovation and they over milked it. That's one big thing we warn people and we warn companies and we also warn nations. If you want to innovate, continue with the term continuous. It's like when we have, I used to be a professor, a faculty member get his PhD. In a year or two, you have to do paper publications to keep going. In a year or two, you have to keep. If you stop, you're done. No career for your college. You will not become a professor. For professor, you'll never become a department chair or dean, whatever. Industry is the same. Nations are the same. This page can be updated today, and I can tell you some of companies also disappeared. The one thing I want to mention here is that very few technology companies survive 10, 20, 30 years. Very few. IBM is the only technology company that passed 100 years. Because we believed on continuous innovation and research. So based on that, from the top, we put a strategy. And the strategy is like this. If we put an annual research budget between $5 to $6 billion, what do you think we do with that? Innovation that matters, continuous innovation. Every year, I need this money back. Look, no company just threw away $5 to $6 billion, right? Not even $1 million. I need to see the return of investment of this money. So what did we do? I have in IBM, and when some people say, when I came to this region, how many technical resources you have? I said, you know what? I will answer this by, I have 220,000 technical resources. Really? They're not here. But they are the 220,000 IBM technical resources globally. And because we're a global company, I am sitting here in Dubai, but I can get whoever I want from this 220,000. That's how we leverage IBM. So the first thing we do is we put this money here, and we say, okay, this thing moves fast. So the 5 to 6 billion is spent on the, as I mentioned, 220,000 IBM technical people, skills. You've seen Anthony, one of them, works for us, and many. But we have a group of what we call IBM researchers. 3,500 to 4,000 average every year. Among those people, we have some people who won Nobel Prize, 5 of them. So the money is bringing continuous innovation that matters. Among those people, I have people who created things that some of you don't know. I'll give you one little story. One of our guy in the physics lab was working on a laser because he was going to do surface mount technology. Very thin layers of surface mount technology, how to put the electronics and nodes and everything. While he was doing that, he was able to really cut it thin. Over dinner, this is true story. Over dinner with one of his friends, ophthalmologist, he was explaining it. Excited, he just found it. The ophthalmologist told him, look, I would like to use that in my field. What was the industry technology that you use today? That's it. That's the birth of LASIK. It happened in the physics lab, in IBM lab. It happens to be 2 friends. Happened the friend used it, and the world is using it. How many of you know that this is an IBM? Very few. And that's what I'm telling you. Those $5 billion are not wasted. So we take that and we go, what's wrong with this thing? Very fast. Can you stop it, please? Just hold here. What we do with that, we invented, and I'm going to get you another story, which is, all these are true story in our research community. The Watson. This was a group of IBM business analysts. The people who know cognitive and linguistics came to us with a budget and say, would like to do something to investigate cognitive. How do you do it? They say, okay, we'll play against Jeopardy. We will, you say, play. Imagine you give funds to create something to play. But we know where it is. We give them the fund, assemble the team, 2 years, you've seen the game that the machine actually won against the top 2 of the world by a big scale. What we were doing at that time is to let the world know that these are things that can be done, but in the back door, we were having teams that looked at that from every angle. Teams that looked at that from medicine, teams that looked at that from pharmaceutical, teams that looked at that from astronomy, teams that look at that from oil and gas, teams that look at that in every angle. Once it starts succeeding and we've seen it, every team come. You know what we did last year? We formed 2 organizations. One called the Watson Health, where a group of people, all their work, all their life is to focus on Watson, to imply in health. We solve cancer problems. We solve many medical problems. And let me tell you another true case. I've seen it myself in New York. A lady came with a very bad fever. It was in one of the hospitals around Connecticut. The fever keeps going on. You know what the doctor gives for fever? Some of the Tylenols and things. Nothing but fever. Then they treat her with something else. Then they treat her with something else. We took the data and we put the data against the doctor with Watson. And the doctor asked one question. He said, "Where have you been the last 2 weeks?" She said, "I was actually on a trail on a area, wooded area in Connecticut. You know, in that area in the wooded, there are something called ticks. Ticks comes, they don't see it. It came with a Lyme disease." Finally, the doctor said, "Oh, we are against Lyme disease. Give her right antibiotics, give the things." And Watson detected it with 99% accuracy. Because Watson collected every question, made the correlation that not every doctor will do, and brought the answer. Another true story in the medical field was also something about premature baby dies. And the doctors in the hospital in Canada were observing that things are going fine, finally got the baby under control, and the baby got instability, and suddenly called baby crash. The baby dies suddenly, out of their control. They kept searching. We collected all the data. And you know what found? We found that this stability thing that they think the heart is actually in a collapse stage of that baby. The doctor didn't have a chance. When we see this happening, it takes about 2 hours. The doctor died, the kid died. Within those 2 hours now, because of Watson, we enable those doctors to read these signs and get early quickly to save kids. So I can give you true stories of this Watson, and I'm opening the imagination of all the kids and all the winners today to think of things like that. And as Anthony mentioned, we are now making it open to the world. The second area is we talk about first of a kind. If a company or a partner or some interested people come to me or come to IBM and say, "I would like to explore this idea," first of a kind, never been done before. We put two teams together, we explore it, we put the funding model, and we created it. And these things can be created, give companies advantage over the world. One of them with a big oil company 7 years ago, they were having a problem with what they called sand choking on the drilling. So when the well is trying to get the maximum out of the well, everyone wants to get the last drop. It gets sand and sand is choking, and they lose the well. We solved that with them. They couldn't believe themselves. So I can go and go. The first of a kind is a one program that we run with our business partner, we run with government, we run with big companies that become just between us and them. It takes a year or two cycle advantage, and then we make it a product to the world. Many of our products came through this program. Another program is that because of all these things, we created a program for our 220,000 technical people, and we called it TAP, Technology Adoption Program. We gave them free platform. We asked them to do whatever they want to do. We asked them to create whatever they want to create, and then compete for an award. So they compete for $100,000. They compete for $200,000. They improve our process. They improve our product. They comment about something. They add value to the market. And because of those technology adoption programs, many of our programs our products are having what we call continuous improvement. The word continuous here is key, coming from that. Also, based on that, we all open technical exploration centers where we bring our customers, we bring our people to explore with us what do they want to do. Then based on that, our people kept innovating, kept doing patents, kept showing. The record is talking about itself. 22 years in a row, the number one company in the world in patent numbers. 3 years ago, our number was equal to the three follow companies. IBM, number of patents, is equal to the sum of the next 3. Why? Because of this big money. We make it to work. We put it for our work, for our company. Then another one came out of that is they say, okay, how can we show that to our clients? So we open client innovation centers. I actually have one in UAE here, 2 in UAE here, one in Abu Dhabi, and one is open soon here in Dubai, where we will show Watson and show that. So we show people, get them hands-on, walk in, all these programs. In addition to that, I added another dimension last year, collaboration with universities, where I'm going to get my next generation around the region. Collaboration with universities. We created programs for universities where allow them to use IBM technology for free. We even train their faculty and train the students. The next one is I opened what I call Center of Excellence. I opened 2 in UAE, Center of Excellence. I have one with American University of Dubai around logistics. And we are doing research, partnering with them around logistics to solve 2020 initiative logistics. That's been announced and publicized. The second one with University of Dubai around smarter cities, where I give them access to all of what you've seen here. So those are the centers. The third dimension I called is where I'm going to get my talent for next generation is from here, locally, from your local universities. All of this is what we put a program. There was question before a panel about how can you get innovation? It comes from the top. It comes from us adapting it. It comes from us knowing how to apply it. It comes from us using this money wisely and correctly. I can go for this presentation for 2 hours, but I know my time is limited here. So here's what we opened. These are the centers for our researchers globally. But there is one thing I want you to notice here. Each one of them is focused on what we call the surrounding problems. If you are in Africa, solve African problems. If you are in the Middle East, solve Middle East problems. So what we're trying to do is go back to the same term, innovation that matters to help humanity. And all of these centers has enough researchers to do. They all collaborate. I came from one of them. I know this. So whatever we need around here, I always bring it. Based on this, there is a lot of work coming out. I can go and go and go for long to tell you what came out from each of those centers. But let me explain to you. On Australia, natural resources, and in Brazil, and in water, solving problems, water problems in Africa, and solving disease problems in Africa, epidemics, Ebola, we were involved. That's how these investments are making the difference in the world. I will leave you with one more video to see the outcome from these things. These are true solutions that exist today. Everything you've seen here. And thank you very much. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Dr. Attia, for such a thought-provoking keynote. Now, we're going to be moving on to the second panel discussion of today. Disruptive innovation is adding value to existing business models, generating new ones, and altering the status quo. Taking this thought forward, I would now like to invite to the stage Mr. Usman Zafar, CEO of Duck International Consulting, who will chair the second panel discussion entitled How Disruptive Technologies Are Enhancing Our Life and Our Businesses. Please, a warm welcome.
Thank you very much, and a very warm welcome to all the esteemed panelists and the wonderful audience here. This is my 14th participation this year, and I must congratulate SPI for organizing such a great event to talk about innovation. The topic I'm going to cover is basically talking about the disruptive technologies, how we can utilize them in order to enhance our life and businesses. So before I call my respected speakers over the stage, I would like to highlight a few very important stuff. So we, being in the region for many years, we have seen a lot of transformation happening, especially in the GCC countries. I was in one of the United Nations conference recently, and the good news I would like to share with you is that down the line in the next 5 years' time, the GCC bloc is going to cross UK and Europe when you talk about the transformation. So when you look into the public sector initiatives, especially in UAE and the neighboring countries, so we got some very interesting international case studies for which we are proud of. For a very simple reason, can we ignore the impact of the internet which have brought into our lives? The way we communicate today is totally different the way we used to communicate earlier. So the innovation, disruptive technologies, a larger concepts like when you talk about open data, e-transformation, big data. So there is a lot happening around us. So in my panel today, I'm going to focus more with all the panelists that how ready we should be in order to adopt these technologies in the next coming few years' time. So with the panel, I would like to invite our first panelist is Mr. Gils Fayed. He's the Director of Technical Marketing at Qualcomm. Please come on the stage. Our second panelist is Mr. Jean Luxner, Head of Services, Line Revenue Growth, Communication Services Practice at Ericsson. Our third panelist is Mr. Vishal Mathani, CEO of Price Global Group. Our fourth panelist, Mr. Dani Ali, who is the evangelist and founder of Pixelbug. And our last panelist is Mr. Prasant K. Gulati, founder and maker-in-chief at Assembly. So what I would like to do here is basically, the topic of our panel discussion is how to use disruptive technologies to enhance our lifestyle, to enhance the business. And what I would like to focus on is basically how we should use those technologies to make it happen. So we know that there are a lot of concepts, there are a lot of ideas, there are a lot of implementations for several things happening around us. And my first question I would like to ask with Mr. Gils, and if you see, for example, the Middle Eastern culture, 90% we talk about the SME sector. So what sort of technological implications we have to take if we want to enhance, like the quality of the life, the quality of the business, using in disruptive technologies? And for example, if you have been assigned to do a project for a business transformation in your organization, what sort of project would you like to do and why?
So I think this is a very good, very interesting question because it's not an easy one. Qualcomm is basically in the mobile industry. We were born mobile, and we are in the devices that you love and you carry around every day. So our focus is mobile, and I think my focus will be mobile as well. And not without a reason. I mean, if you look at the mobile industry, there are more than 7.2 billion mobile connections today. There are 7.3 billion people on Earth. So we have approximately 1 connection per person. Not everyone has a connection, but the amounts are the same. Mobile contributed in 2014 for 3.8% of the total worldwide GDP, more than $3 trillion. So it's a very pervasive technology. There are more mobiles than there are toothbrushes from that perspective. So to answer your question, it is a technology that is very pervasive and that is enabling new business models that would not have existed without it. So just think of a company like Careem or a company like Uber. Would they have existed without a mobile? No. The business model they've put in place, both at the level of the consumer, who is able to call a cab and point to his location and have all of the information and facilitation and communication that is needed, and from the level of the driver, who gets all of the dispatching, who also gets the directions, and who is able to answer the call. All of that model, using a crowdsourced set of employees, whether good or bad, or acceptable or not acceptable, has completely disrupted the taxi industry that was very traditional, very unionized. I remember in the UK and in France, essentially the type of exams a taxi driver would have to take and know every road, etc., and not have to even rely on the maps. They would have to be able to know exactly where things were. Now, the Uber driver doesn't need even to be there. He just takes his GPS, puts Google Maps or Bing or whatever, and gets you wherever you want to go. And tomorrow, maybe, the disruption will go further. And that Uber driver might not even be there if we project ourselves in the future. Cars could be autonomous and drive you automatically wherever you want. And you could have fleets of these cars available. So it's one way of disrupting traditional businesses. Now, we were discussing this with Jean-Luc earlier. Two words that I find a bit difficult in the disrupting traditional industries is disruptive and traditional. Because traditional means essentially it's something that refers to the past, that is not moving forward, that is not fostering change very easily. And disruptive has a negative connotation to it. But you can see it in the positive way. So all of these technologies are basically enabling new use cases. They are enabling new usages of services that otherwise would not be available. We are now enabling education in remote areas with the same level and the same quality of education or healthcare in rural areas in Africa that you could get basically in cities around the world, in very respectable cities around the world. This level of disruption is also very important and would not be feasible if you did not embrace the change. It's not disruptive, it is really enabling, as Jean-Luc
I would like to add one point here. Dubai or United Arab Emirates have been ranked #1 when you talk about the usage of mobile apps in public sector. So His Excellency, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, when he announced 2 years ago that he wants every service to go online by using mobile phone. So UAE have launched one of its own store to host the mobile apps over the web, and we got around more than 2,000 plus mobile applications from different sectors at federal and local level, where you can actually use as a common person or as a businessman all the services. I'll go for the second question to Jane. Yes, we talk about technology, we talk about innovation, we talk about different ideas. But again, my question is again very important for from an innovation point of view, how we can utilize all these innovative ideas to have an effective collaboration and bringing more strategic partners on board to enhance actually the overall ROI for the organization. Yep.
The first thing really to enable collaboration is really to have a common vision on Sorry, I'll restart. So I think to leverage technology to create disruptions, the first thing to do is basically to have a common vision on how these technologies can actually impact current value chains. It's about understanding not only the technology, but also the consumer needs, consumer behaviors. We mentioned earlier about the sharing economy. I'd like to take the follow-up on what Jill said with the automotive industry, and the transportation industry. It's all about insights and how that industry can change. And a couple of weeks ago, the CEO of Uber said that in 2020, if Tesla has self-driving cars, he would buy all of them. Now, a couple of weeks later, at an analyst conference, the CEO of Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla, got asked the question, what do you think about this? And his answer was basically, great insight. But that means that, the whole values that Uber has created with the onboarding on taxis and so on, that could be diluted very quickly if Tesla, for instance, decides to go for an Airbnb type of model. So I think that is very interesting to look at how people deal with insights, how you use these insights combined with possibly disrupting technologies. Now we have things like, if you look at the car industry, it's quite a good example. If you look at self-driving cars, it's one example, but underlying enabling technologies are cloud, for instance. Questions, is the cloud secure enough today to deliver these type of use cases? If you look at since the beginning of the year, there were at least 3 hacks on I think BMW, Jeep, and another one that got hacked. So you need to understand a bit how the technology is enabling use cases, how basically use cases can be realized. So we talk about things like cloud, security, self-driving cars, IoT. And then this is to help you, in a sense, also to identify who are the players that can collaborate, basically, in terms of enabling technology, in terms of business owners, and so on. But then the next thing is then, how do you collaborate, and how do you actually realize these opportunities? And here, I think, one of the important things, and this is what we believe in, is really to take a more systematic approach to innovation. With a systematic approach, I mean taking in for large companies, for public sector companies, some of the agile and lean methodologies that have been used in startups. So for instance, if you look at Ericsson, we are training 500 innovation coaches in the company. We are applying some of these tools to basically work with the ideation, with the concept. And then you need also the processes to actually complete the execution. And then there's other questions that come up, whether you work with this internally. And let's say we have done internal projects with companies like AT&T or TeliaSonera, but then also in the automotive industry with companies like Volvo. We're working on an innovation project as well with Saab, but it has to do then with the methodology, with the process. And if you want to make the collaboration effective and also make sure that there's enough knowledge transferred, you also need to work with the tools, processes, and basically the whole knowledge sharing infrastructure that is needed to have an effective collaboration.
Yeah, thank you very much. The knowledge transfer is, again, one of the hottest topic in the region. We bring in a lot of expertise from different parts of the world. They work, they deliver the projects. But when they go out of the organization, so, they take all the knowledge with them. So we have seen a lot of initiatives in different organizations past few years where they are trying to build up some sort of a knowledge management department to make sure that all the employees who are working in different departments, they are the knowledge worker and they got the capabilities to actually transfer the knowledge among each other. So my next question from Vishal is basically, I want to be one of the best company in 2025. What are the 2 initiatives I have to consider to earn this award?
That's a fantastic question. Now, to be the best company, what basically means you need to have the best team, you need to have revenues, you need to have sales, you need to have a lot of things put together. And none of this will actually happen if your team is not really motivated and your team is not really a part of your company. So what I would do, say from 2015 going up to 2025, is the first thing we need to look at is empowering our people with learning, with development, and with enough skill and knowledge to go out there. The bottleneck here is learning development means people-based, time-based, and a lot of people just don't care. It's very boring. So what about if we put together something like a holographic chamber or a virtual reality chamber in our companies, which was not time-based. A part of your team could go there anytime they wanted, day or night, whenever they were free, whenever they felt like. Now this virtual chamber would simulate every possible challenge that they could face when they went out into the market. So you have somebody who's already ready for every single challenge that's going to come along. So you have the best trained person in your team going out into the market. That's one. But then again, this is only work-based. How do you actually motivate your people to go in there? So convert these virtual reality chambers into a playground for any kind of sport. So anytime someone decides I want to go and play football, he can actually go in there and play football, cricket, baseball, whatsoever. You can have a gym in there. You can have an outdoor playground in nature, in serenity. So people are actually motivated to go there because they can actually sit out in nature and still get the training they need to get at their own time, at their own space, as and when they like it. So you actually have empowered your people. You've made them get what they want at their time and space. You've reduced the stress levels on them. And most importantly, they've enjoyed what they've done. Ultimately, they go out there, get you better results, better revenue for the company, more money in their bank. That's what matters to keep them more and more motivated to come back to you. The second thing that I would probably think of is another bottleneck we usually face is everything we are doing is based on the battery life of our smartphone or the battery life of our laptop. So we're out here sitting in a conference and our smartphone goes dead and that's it. We're out of connection with the office, with our house, with whatsoever. So what about we had a credit card size self-powering unit that could actually power up things like smartphones, laptops, and tablets. Similar to what I guess Nokia has right now, the charging units or whatever, that actually pick up power from elements of the thing like wind power, solar power, from noise radiation, from actual cell phone tower radiations. They pick up to give you enough power to actually keep your devices up and running. So now, at this point of time, I could be sitting here and actually just pull out a little credit card device, connect my phone or my laptop to it, and I'm still up and running. So you have your people who are 24/7 connected to you in the work environment. The fun part of this is this guy is out with his kid playing in a park, and he still has this device with him because it's a simple little credit card kind of device that he can carry around with him and actually use it working both ways, personally as well as work-wise. So I believe these are two technologies that I would put forth to really change the company we're talking about to becoming the best company in the world. Because end of the day, it's revenues and people that will make the best companies in the world.
Perfect. I would like to ask a question from Mr. Prashant. What is your view that in the next 5 years' time, what are the top 5 disruptive technologies is going to take over the world, business world?
So we're using the word disruption a lot, and Jill picked up a point of disruption being a negative connotation. It's negative because people don't like change, but these technologies will still come. You know, if you look around, these technologies are already here. We talked about, from the morning, we've been talking about things like, for example, the Ubers of the world who have come and disrupted the way we see transport or public transport today. We're going to see driverless cars. Today they announced Austin as the first city in the United States to actually have Google driverless cars practically deployed. Regulation has taken, you know. In the city of Dubai, we are spoiled. We actually look at things early. So we see a lot of technologies here which other cities will see as disruption a very long time from now. The thing that we've got to realize more than what technologies will be disrupting is to have a mindset for it, the open mindset for it. And Dubai is a very good example where the mindset has been set to something where our expectations are actually, look around you. In fact, if you look outside the window, you'll see a building called Burj Al Arab, you know. That was the building which was ahead of its time in 1999 when it was done. So we have actually had a tradition of disruption which we've been doing. Coming back to your question of saying what will be disruption, I think the biggest disruption we'll see, especially in our lives, is that we will lose a place to hide. Be it businesses, be it ourselves, we will come to a point where, for example, brands and people will nowhere be able to hide So quality of service will have to rise. Today, I can get a better response from a brand if I tweet or if I chat with them than I could get before to go through their customer support department or whatever. And this is what is going to happen. So I see one of the biggest disruptions will come in the form of what behavior.
How do you relate the ethical issues for the adoption of
There will always be a balance between the ethics part of it and the need part of it. Privacy will be an issue which will be talked about. So if you look at it from the positive side, which I was saying, the no place to hide would also be that you would be able to get good quality of service and good response from people, because people would be worried about their reputation online. While on the other side, you will see the ethical question of how far your privacy should go, how much people can do that. But coming to the second point, disruption would be local. That's the other thing. So the big thing technology has provided us today is that disruption is becoming local. I mean by that is we don't need somebody in Silicon Valley to sit down and build something for this part or any part of the world. You can have people locally. Actually, we have talked about empowering and putting up innovation departments in different companies. We'll see this happening locally, which is another thing which has. The third thing which you picked up was connectivity, like the Uber always connected kind of life that we are living. This will be another disruption. You'll see multiple disruptions which will happen. People have already started looking at it. People don't make phone calls anymore. In fact, email is difficult. Chat is coming in. So you'll see the communication will actually be another disruptor, which you would see. The fourth disruptor that I personally see is also time. The time of disruption will change, in the sense that we used to take years to disrupt something. Now you disrupt them very quickly. People were talking about timelines. Uber took 5 years to disrupt what is the taxi service in any part of the world. I think the next disruption would probably be even quicker. You would see things which would happen far quicker than that. A very good example of that is if there are business owners here, I don't know how many of you use Slack, for example. Slack has changed the way businesses are working. A lot of us haven't seen it, but I can assure you within the year you will know that. And that will change communication, the collaboration part of you. A lot of companies I know who are here sell very large systems for collaboration, which may find those systems are obsolete before they started because people have gone too quickly. So you will see things like that happening.
Thank you. My next question is from Danny. Danny, when we look into, for example, the technology adoption part, so we have an issue, we talk about change management, business process reengineering. We always talk about cloud computing, but still in the region, we are on a very early stage for the cloud adoption. We talk about knowledge adoption or knowledge transformation, or we talk about public-private partnerships. So my question to you is what as CIOs or CEOs we should do actually in a short-term way to get actually up to the speed with the business world, and then what sort of long-term strategic plans we have to adopt to cope up with the business pressure we have around us.
Right, so first I want to say how honored I am to be sitting next to these esteemed panelists, and I can say that Gilles and PK are all friends of mine, and Qualcomm have been early supporters of Pixelbug since our inception. I just want to, before I answer your question, which is a very good question, I want to get a feel for the audience, because I think it's important to know how each one of them and us in general feel about the advancements in technology. So I want to know first, who is excited and feel the power and the technology and the change that is coming? Let's see.
Everyone.
There's a majority. Who feels it's like unnerving and they don't know you're operating in the unknown, and technology is coming at such an accelerating pace that it's just scaring the hell out of a lot of people, or not? Let's see. All right, so minority. Right, so, first of all, and I'd like to touch on the point PK said very rightfully, is that it starts with us. It starts with us and our mindset, our open-mindedness. Our cognitive biases, staring them down, having the notion that as the law of accelerating returns increases in pace, that we need to even have more open-mindedness as that pace accelerates. So although we might think that, looking back, that things have been more or less linear, it's very hard to grasp what it means to think in terms of exponential terms, and what it means that we're at the inflection point of that infinite acceleration velocity curve. So when we consider this precisely, it's very important to keep an open mind and to remember that at the dawn of the aviation age, if you had told anyone in the early 20th century that they would be able to fly across oceans, they'd look at you like you're some, cuckoo. But yet, today, we feel the same cognitive biases. When you present someone with a crazy idea that's filled with imagination of something that is very likely and possible, such as very soon we will most likely be able to extend our lifespans by 50, 60, 100 years, and that is possible within our lifetimes. When you present that notion to people in general, they look at you like, say, this is way far ahead. But no, there's $364.8 billion going into age-expanding technologies by 2018, and that's per annum. When we consider that AR and VR is going to be a $150 billion industry by 2020. Who's familiar with augmented reality? All right. I'd like to know who has tried a virtual reality headset. All right. So, and as you know, again, going back to starting with us, virtual reality has a potential to completely change the way we think and to perceive the world. Why? Because our brain, and I'm sure those who have tried it can relate to this, our brain cannot distinguish between the reality effect. And as we progress in the latency and resolve the convergence and the complementary issues that happen with the eyesight, our brain will have even less of a possibility to distinguish between what's real and what's not. And when you're able to tap into the creative flow of each individual and to have it on demand, where you put in an augmented reality headset and you're able to become the rock star that you've always wanted to be, or be able to fly without any constraints in the laws of physics, then you just, it's important to be able to tap into that flow and bring it back into the physical realm. And then going to the business onset of that is that when we instill this in our culture, within our workforce, for example, at Pixelbug, what we do at the beginning of each month is have something called Inspiration Hour. And what we do here is allow everyone to share anything and everything about what inspires them. And we came up with a common vision that instilled this fearlessness in our DNA. And we say that at Pixelbug, we're a team of fearless creative minds that brings augmented reality magic into everyone's lives. It's not about technology, doesn't mean anything anymore, honestly. Technology is, and whether you want to call it disruption, innovation, it's everywhere, and it's what we are reaching on here is the age of miracles. Having technology allow us to do, perceive, and create anything that we've ever wanted. And so, using something on a much bigger scale like Alphabet, and I'm surprised that so far no one has even mentioned the Google restructuring, which was a coup de force by Google, that instills precisely how you stay innovative. By completely breaking up Google into individual smaller companies over an umbrella and allowing them to compete against each other to remain innovative instead of being worried of disruption or change coming from the outside. They compete within each other from the inside. And because innovation is all about cross-pollination, it's all about transformation, mutation, pivoting. And so they do that to each other. And I think it's about that, about staying lean, staying nimble, staying flexible, staying open-minded, and transferring that from us into the bigger picture.
Thank you very much. I would like to open the floor for questions so we can have more interactivity. So I would like to have any question from the audience. Would like to ask anything? Yeah, over there. Can you please pass the mic?
just to mention something very specific, I had the impression always that you have to think about here technology. It has to be very sophisticated and only, internet and all that. But I just want to suggest an area where, for instance, it needs a little bit support, like the cool desert vest, as an example only. All the material is available, in the world, and a lot of companies have done something to make a cool vest, but there is a huge scope for innovation here. And I'm suggesting it should be done here in the area in UAE, in Dubai, because, everybody will be happier with 40 degrees C, to be a little bit cool, and you don't need a lot of energy to keep someone cool. So what I'm saying is just, it doesn't have to be, everybody dreaming that it has to be something very novel. Everything is here, the material and the ideas. It's only a different combination. And like you said, experimental mindset. Yeah? Somebody who can experiment. And it's an issue of mindset, like entrepreneurial mindset, like explorer mindset. But the material and the technology can be very easy. And it only needs a little bit support in the mindset, like say from the government, from other institutions. And young people can work on these things and do something great for export. That's what I'm saying. Thank you.
Can I touch on that? Because actually, I have some entrepreneurial friends who have graduated from the Stars of Science initiative who are exactly working on that cooling jacket. And so, although that's a great point, but I'd like to touch on the fact that to create those nanofibers and all the material that can create the cooling factor is also, to get to that point, you have a progression in terms of technological adaptation to fibers, which you have to keep in mind. So although, yes, it might seem like it's not something crazy, but you're talking about space-age suit materials that is transposed into the consumer so that they can wear it, but it's space-age.
But Danny, I think what we should pick up here is actually the fact that it seems like whenever we talk about disruptive technologies, we tend to talk about complexity and bigger problems. I think there's also one more thing which is correct, which is challenges. So such problems usually get solved by challenges. And a very good example for that is the X-Prize example. I don't know if you've seen that. First time you saw, SpaceX came out of the X-Prize, where the challenge was put up, where private companies would be able to put a rocket in space, and this becomes a challenge. So similar things will happen. I think what is important is that we find people or organizations or stuff to put these challenges out. Like, this is what we want to solve. I think a problem that you brought up, like having a cool jacket, is actually a problem we live with every day.
It's a big point we have.
So I think it's a very good question, and I think we look at the bottom of it. I think there's a very big opportunity out there.
Just to add to what...
Excuse me, regarding the jacket, it's already done in Japan.
Yeah, that's what I...
They have that in Japan. This is the picture.
Huh?
It's already in Japan.
That's what it's already
This is the
there.
picture with solar energy.
Yeah. Good. That's what the challenge is for, to prove that.
Thank you.
I just want to add one thing on this, and I think that was a very good question that was raised here, because I think innovation doesn't need to be only about ICT. So basically, I think here we have a good example on how, let's say, smart materials can be used to create value for local population. I think you can find similar examples in architecture and agriculture, where a lot of innovations could be generated. And I think the important point here is to infuse that creativity and innovation culture back into the education system as well.
Yep. To add to what Piki was saying in response to the example of challenges, if we look at innovation, it really comes in 3 stages, right? There is the fundamental innovation that is going to bring a new functionality. Then there is the adoption of that functionality into services, products and services that is going to bring the disruption. And then there is a third phase, which is the adoption really by end users to the point where it becomes completely pervasive. You don't think anymore about pulling out the map when you want to drive. You put your Google Maps and you go wherever you want to go if you don't know exactly where you're going. The localization of innovation is very important, to the point that the gentleman was making there. That is, the ability first to recognize that we are able to innovate, that the innovation doesn't come from outside. The ability to assemble together the different pieces that are needed in order to bring that innovation, because innovation doesn't come in a silo by using just a hammer. You need to have a hammer, you need to have nails, you need to have a saw, you need to have wood in order to build a box. If I want to invent a box, I don't invent it just with a hammer. And then the ability to have a place, a home, where you can foster that innovation and where people believe in that innovation. If you have these ingredients, then you can have localization of innovation, and that means people that will adopt it because it doesn't clash with their culture, because it helps them in their day-to-day life, because it becomes pervasive. So Danny was referring to augmented reality and virtual reality becoming completely pervasive. The next generation at the mobile level is really cognitive technologies, where you are now getting it to a point where devices learn, they perceive, and they act on what you are doing. And so this is where, for example, using augmented reality, I can point to a sign and get it translated. So if I'm a traveler and I'm going through an airport and I don't know the language that is being displayed, I can still find my way. Or if I'm in a city that is unknown to me, I can still find my way. But this is one, we think about augmented reality just in terms of vision. Augmented reality could be sound. We have no directional sound. This is the innovation at the functional level that will allow us to basically do translation. So I'm in an open environment with a lot of sound. You are speaking a language. I can understand it, translated automatically to me. This empowers me from that perspective, right? So there are many different ways of basically bringing cognitive technologies to life. Like Anthony was mentioning, cognitive technologies are happening now at the cloud level. They will be, within the next few years, they will be basically moving into the edge of the network, and the devices themselves will be intelligent and secure because they will be able, because of their intelligence, to derive the behavioral security aspects that are needed. So is this guy really in this area doing that stuff? Usually he's not there, so it might be a hack or something like that. So all of these things.
Thank you very much. I'm afraid we have a time limitation here, and you can surely ask all the questions. We are all around for the next couple of hours. So the conclusion is, either we like it or not, the change is happening. So C-level people, CEOs, CIOs, CTOs, we really have to work out the right business strategies which are fully aligned with the technological roadmap for our organizations to have maximum ROI on the investments we do on the technology part. Thank you very much, and thanks to all the esteemed panelists.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.